Today I've prepared another Palantir update. This is going to be a big one. Earnings information, conference call questions, a new Palantir service, a clip from Joe Lonsdale, Ark Invest Holdings, institutional holdings, and my thoughts on the stock price heading into May. Let's go. Starting it off with the earnings information. So Palantir has announced that results for its Q1 will be released on Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, prior to the market open, and the company will host a conference call to discuss its results at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. I won't be able to live stream it, but I'll be doing an Investing Op Classic Supercut in case you missed the actual call or want to re-listen into the key moments. Many were expecting the call to be a week later or so. Perhaps Palantir has some good news to share. I'd urge you not to read into this too much though. If you're looking for my predictions specifically, you can find them in this video. Basically, I'm expecting a beat with $355 million in revenue and a small loss. Check out that video for the full picture. It's interesting how they choose to do the call at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. That's wildly inconvenient for those of you on the West Coast. And it's also not what I'm used to with Tesla, for instance. Leave a comment if you think you know why they choose to report in the AM. Next, moving on to the conference call questions. So just like last quarter, I have the privilege to share 3 questions directly with Palantir management. This is done through the Say Technologies platform. I'll leave the link in the description. If you sign in, you'll be able to upvote questions, but please only vote for those you believe are valuable and will get a good response. After all, we want Palantir to be sharing meaningful comments. So here are my 3 questions that I have submitted. Number 1, why is Palantir choosing to invest in SPACs, such as Lilium and Sarcos Robotics? Can you speak to the motivation behind these decisions, and if investors can anticipate future corresponding investments? How do you view risk, investment size, and potential return, if that is a consideration? This is an elephant in the room, and something that Palantir really does need to address, as they have not done so already. I want them to explain exactly why they're investing in SPACs, and what they think about the risk, and also how much they would be contributing to these in the future, as well as if they're doing this for a potential return or not. So I think I packed a lot into this question, and I really do hope they answer each part of it. But I think we could see a run-up past $30 per share on a positive earnings release. Sorry guys, the audio got messed up and I have to switch microphones. Hopefully this isn't too much worse and I will try and get that fixed. But on to number 2, how is Palantir planning to expand downstream to medium-sized businesses? Since demo day and the kickoff of DoubleClick, has Palantir seen an increase in interest from smaller companies? If so, elaborate. If not, how can Palantir better demonstrate its value to these businesses? I think this is a fair and important question to ask. I hope we'll get an insightful response. And I really do think we need to hear more from them on their strategy from working from bigger businesses down to more medium and smaller sized businesses. I want to know if DoubleClick and Demo Day have really helped the transition there. And if not, I want to hear what they're thinking about how they can better go about marketing Palantir's platforms to those smaller sized businesses. Number 3, will Palantir's recent official announcement of Palantir Unlock have any material impact to the financials going forward? Can you speak to the decision to make such a service free? How does this fit in with the rest of PLTR's platforms? Do you see a strong network and ecosystem effect? So I'm about to get into Palantir Unlock in a moment, but I'd also love to hear thoughts from those on the call about the significance of what they've publicly launched. So basically, I want to figure out that even though this is a free service, if it will have any impact to the financials, be that R&D or operating expenses, or if there is a higher tier to this Palantir Unlock that will actually bring in some revenue, or if they're just able to recognize the fact that this could be an ecosystem effect where it draws corporations into their platforms, going from Unlock to Foundry. Just want to get their read on that. So there you have it. I'll come back and highlight the top questions from everyone a few days before the call. Once the votes are in, I'll say if if I think it's a good question and give a mock response, considering how I think Palantir is likely to answer each question. It should be fun. And now on to the aforementioned Palantir Unlock. Here's Palantir's official statement. Unlock your data. Consistently, throughout the pandemic, the first problem we had to solve for governments and commercial organizations was their data was locked into legacy systems. Unlocking it was crucial to navigating the pandemic, and it will be crucial to restarting the economy. No institution should be left behind because they are locked into the past. Palantir Unlock is designed to make our open platform available to emancipate your enterprise during this crucial period. As countries reopen and industries come back online, we're making Palantir Unlock available to the commercial sector for free. If you're interested in unlocking your data from legacy enterprise software at no cost, reach out to us. And going even farther, Palantir launched a designated website for Unlock. They say your data should be yours. Palantir Unlock emancipates your enterprise data from legacy systems and proprietary data models, translating it into human-readable objects and delivering it to you in any open source format. Data is your most valuable asset, but locked up in legacy enterprise software, you can't use it to generate alpha and inform operations. Palantir Unlock frees your data from the past so it can propel you into the future. All systems are supported. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. It's great to see the company expanding, not just because they think it should, but because there is clearly a need for something like this. It remains to be seen how much demand there is for this product and how big of an impact this will have, as I asked in my question, if at all, on Palantir's financials, given that the service is free. But I would like to know if this could strengthen the Palantir network ecosystem and flywheel effect that I've talked about in previous videos. So that's why I asked the question. My overall takeaway is that this is a great marketing tactic with the potential to build spontaneous client relationships that could serve as invaluable in the future for even more expansion. And building off of this idea of Palantir's expansion, here's a very brief clip from Joe Lonsdale from a couple of days ago. Joe Lonsdale, of course, being a very key early player in Palantir as a co-founder.
You know, the last 10 years, people get stuck. When the trend goes on for a long time, you get very complacent about it. The last 10 years has been extremely good for the big tech companies, the big tech monopolies. They've basically grown to the point where they're dominating the entire economy. And a lot of people are assuming that's just going to keep going for the next 10 years. You know, I think there are areas where the moats are very, very high with these big tech companies, but there are a lot of challenges, a lot of change, there's a lot of shift in spend in a lot of new areas around the enterprise that the market's not really pricing in yet.
And now on to Ark Invest Holdings. Some people cling to Ark Invest's trading activity, and others dismiss it as nothing important. Personally, I believe it to be an indication of what Ark is thinking in the present moment. What positions are they building? Which stocks are they offloading? You do have to look past some of the buys and sells as general portfolio management, but otherwise, it's not a bad way to get into the minds of Ark's team, what technologies they're bullish on, etc. So here's the chart of Palantir. Right now, they have about 20 million shares. Crazy. They started at just 20,000. It's about 1% the weight of the overall portfolio. And here you'll see PLTR's rankings at about 22. It still has a very long way to go to become a huge core holding, but I'd say its current position is not bad and a clear indication of the conviction of Ark Invest. And now on to the institutional holdings. On November 25th, institutional ownership was at 12%. On February 26th, institutional ownership was at 22%. And on April 4th, institutional ownership was at 18.5%. Now, on April 28th, institutional ownership is at a similar 18.9%. That means institutions have not piled back in yet at all. And this is a very bullish sign, I'd say. Again, going back to my theory that PLTR will benefit very well from a growth market recovery. I think as the broader market recovers, institutions will buy back in heavily to Palantir. And here's an interesting graphic from April 27th. Credit to @WYZZIL on Twitter. We see many more institutions buying than selling, but not really enough to be moving the overall percentage. The bottom line is that there is interest institutionally. It just hasn't been fully realized yet in the current macro conditions. So here are my closing thoughts. heading into May earnings with the conference call and a new Palantir service, increasing Ark Invest Holdings and steady institutional holdings, I think PLTR is in a great position to surprise to the upside for many people's expectations of the stock as well as earnings in particular. Then again, Palantir stock has gone down on much more positive news. Regardless, it's great to see the stock above $23 and closer to $25. Don't take any advice from me, but personally I think a huge earnings beat and the stock could be headed back up to $30 per share if analysts get blown away and have to raise their targets significantly. So that's my bull case for the next couple weeks. What are your thoughts on the stock? Much more content to come. Until next time.